Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of Authentically Divine. I'm your host Alyssa Davis, and this week's episode is all about fitness. So it's obviously another aspect of my life that has been true to my identity, and I want to go into some details about the fact that it's been my identity, everything that I've done over the course of the last 11 years that I've been working out, different methods that I've taken, and where I'm at right now in my fitness journey. So of course, with today's episode being about fitness, I wanted to talk about a fitness supplement. I've been using Cymbiotika Creatine Plus. It is a liposomal delivery. So this is, there's a liquid in here, but it is with purified water, glycerin, organic cranberry powder, organic raspberry powder, malic acid, konjac root, and phosphatidylcholine. If you are active, honestly, creatine is something that is just great to do or great to have. It also helps with protein synthesis. It helps with continued muscle growth. I was taking this when I was really lifting weights. I'm not doing that as much, but you do build a lot of strength because you lose creatine when you work out. So it's a really great supplement, both men and women involved, but this is a clean brand, Cymbiotika. If you've never heard of it, rather than taking those types of supplements that are, filled with fillers and gums and flavors, this is all natural, and I enjoyed using it actually. And they actually suggest that you're supposed to take it on and off, 5 days on, 3 or 2 off, 4 days on, 3 days off, so that your body doesn't get used to the actual supplement and it continues to work. Fun fact. I'm going to be real and raw and honest, and I recorded my fitness episode a couple of months ago, and Microsoft 11 was public enemy number one a couple of days ago, because I was deleting old files that I no longer need, and in my folder of finished products, all the finished episodes, it decided to delete those amongst the ones that I didn't need any longer. All the rough cuts were gone, all the clean cuts were gone, all the perfect episodes, so I'm just back at it again talking about fitness, and this makes it so easy to talk about. I went through and actually was able to recover a couple of episodes, which I am so happy about, but it's just, I've been really working on my patience and trying to just move forward in a calmer way. I was not focusing on something and was doing something else and deleted the files. So we are back to this, and this is the second time, but I don't have my notes anymore. I'm going to just wing it because this is something true to my heart. Fitness has been my identity for so long. If you don't know me personally, if you even just went across my Instagram page, or anyone that knows me, fitness has been my true identity for the longest time. I was involved in lacrosse when I was younger. Then I went into the weightlifting. I did do Tae-Kwon-Do when I was younger, which is so cool. I didn't talk about that when I first recorded it. So I'm just going to dive in a little bit. I'm going to talk about my experience with fitness, what my opinion is of it now, the steps that I have taken that have changed my life regarding fitness, and why fitness and health and exercise is so important. But obviously, we all know that it is important. I just want to further go into the details of where my fitness journey has taken me and where it all started. So like I said, if you know me, fitness has literally been my thing. I made a fitness Instagram that now is my podcast page, which I'm really excited about, but I gained a little bit of a following, not a lot, but still I have supporters on there that were really great. But I had been wanting to do a fitness page for a long time. So in 2022, I created a fitness page. I do love editing videos. I liked to do things like that and show my workouts. A lot of people were intrigued by it that I knew that weren't a part of the fitness community. They always told me that they loved to see that stuff. So I just continued. But we're going to go back in time. I had been in Tae-Kwon-Do when I think I was before I was 12, 13, and I did it for 6 years. My mom and my sister believed that I'm a 3rd-degree black belt, but I think I'm a 2nd-degree black belt. I don't think I went all the way to the 3rd degree, but I literally loved Tae-Kwon-Do. So my mom did her best to allow us to understand ways we can protect ourselves with physicality. She also helped us to learn, right from wrong. My mom was just making sure that we as children knew how to protect ourselves and protect ourselves well. So I did start Taekwondo, me and my one friend. And I just remember vividly always getting in trouble for talking because I just would not stop talking. And here I am making a passion project with me talking. So it all worked out, but the fitness aspect of it, Taekwondo and any type of like karate, or if we're talking about jujitsu, anything like that, you're learning so much discipline. You are learning the strength of your own body. You are learning ways to protect yourself. And one of the best things that I learned when I was in Taekwondo was that you are allowed to defend yourself. You do not want to ever be the person that is going after someone. But if you ever are in a situation where you need to defend yourself, you defend yourself. You are never going to be the instigator. They taught us that. It stuck in my brain. And, that was such a core concept to my identity. And it just led throughout the rest of my life and still has led me into this point here. Because now I have faith. Now, reading the Bible, I've learned, and especially understanding the way that Jesus is, the way God wants you to be. In this case, you are able to defend yourself. You're not the one attacking others. That's the key point here. And being a Christian, that is fully understanding that there is no reason to attack. There's no reason to judge. We are all born equal. God loves us. But in Taekwondo, I learned to defend yourself if needed. And I learned ways to defend myself where it's just to get the attacker away from me versus really going into it and going into an understanding of how to defend yourself with like life or death situation against someone bigger or stronger. It was something that allowed me to feel strong in my female feminine body, especially being a young woman at that point in time or a young girl. Life hits you hard, you want to build up the strength. So I did with Taekwondo, and then it led me into feeling really great about everything, but I did quit because I got into high school, I got into middle school, I started to make friends, I wasn't working out at this time, and I got into cheerleading, and I loved doing backflips. They would say back tucks, but we would go to gymnastics and cheer gymnastics, and I learned how to do a back tuck, and I loved doing backflips. I got the height and everything. I was doing standing ones on solid ground. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun, and I know that's a different form of fitness and a different form of exercise. So I went from Taekwondo to fully defending myself to kind of doing like fun little trick type of, things. And it did entail cheering for the competitions, cheering for the games, for football and basketball. But it was more of like, again, using my voice and, using my voice, but using my voice and having strength because I was a back. And if you know anything about cheerleading, it's the person that stands in the back. But you are pretty much relied on as a solid core person because we have the two people on the sides supporting and they are the bases, and then we have the flyer. But each base catches one side of the person. You as the back are catching the back, the entire literal weight of the person for the most part. I mean, everyone supports each other, but backs were always known as being very strong, and I felt very strong. I knew that Taekwondo led into cheerleading. Like, I had a lot of strength to me as a woman. Not like I was masculine, but this is where it went into. So then I started to kind of get bored with that, and I started to go to the gym. I started to become a cardio bunny. I mean, literally, I grew up watching all of Instagram when it first became a thing. All the fitness Instagram influencers that were like bikini competitors, just how they were running their lives and recording their videos, just straight up going to the gym, plopping their phone down and recording themselves and going viral, going famous, being famous before influencing was really a thing. It was just like the core bikini competition women were just posting and paving the way for what fitness meant to me as a young girl. Those types of environments, like that they were in, those women, they were eating minimal foods. They were, pushing out a lot of exercises, and they were competing for physicality. They were doing everything that they were doing for physical appearances. And obviously we know, like, the big ones, like Courtney King, bikini competitor. She went to and her husband now is Chris Bumstead. He was involved in the Arnold. But this is the thing that I grew up on. Like, when fitness became a thing for me, I followed all these other women, and they did like the swipe by swipe videos, and you would just sit there and watch, or, they would only post one video and you'd sit there and watch them do 5-6 different exercises, their entire workout. Everything was more of like knowledge based on how to work out. And it was really cool because those women had been doing it as their job, and they were proving to the world that they could show people how to work out. And I don't even know if they knew what they were doing for the rest of us that were watching, but they were such a big inspiration. And I think they were the pivotal point to where fitness for women is now. They were the first batch of influencers, and they started to get sponsored by reputable clothing companies, fitness brands, supplement companies. They would get like a line that they would make, and they would be associated with Gymshark, or they'd get like some sort of like flavored protein. I don't know. Gymshark was a huge thing for me. I remember buying Nikki Blackter's clothing because she was one of the first women that I followed too. But I don't know if you are even familiar with this, but like, it was all, my feed was just fitness, all the influencers that I wanted to be like, and I wanted to have what they had. And so watching what they were doing, eating minimal foods, like, because they were showing everything. They were like, this is what I ate for breakfast. It was like, obviously they're doing bikini competitions, so they were eating such small amounts. So this is where it led into, in high school, I was playing lacrosse, and I was seeing this. I wanted to be just like them, pushing all the hard weights, going to the gym. So I'm finding that I'm loving running. I'm loving being in a lacrosse team. Again, it's something competitive. It's something that makes me feel strong. It's an independent type of thing while having a team. You can push yourself. And at one point, I was just attack, which is just offense. And then my coach told me that I could be mid. So I was doing offense and defense and running back and forth. And it was just, at that point in time, I was able to push limits I didn't even know were possible for myself. And I felt so good, especially when you make a goal or just pass to someone that made a goal. Like in high school, those are the types of memories that just stick with you forever. And I just had such a blast with it. And yeah, it was hard. It was tough. It was a mental battle. And I loved every minute of it. And I think this is where I was starting to really understand that I loved pushing my limits. I loved seeing the capacity that I had, and I loved being competitive and driven. In the fitness industry at that time, like I said, I wanted to be just like those women, going to the gym and doing all the things. So I would, like I said, was a cardio bunny. I would go after my lacrosse game or after my lacrosse practice, I would head over to the gym, the local gym, which was like 2 minutes away, and I would do more workouts, more exercises. And I started to finally get into lifting weights. And it started out with just doing core exercises, using like the core machines. But I remember this one time I was like, wow, this is like, I'm loving this. And it was just because I was putting good into myself. And at the time, a lot of my friends started to do the drinking, like I mentioned in my sobriety episode, my second episode. Like they were drinking and partying and stuff. And junior and senior year, I was like, I'm kind of sick of this. I've been doing this for a bit now. So I found that fitness and focusing on my output, focusing on ways to break the mental barriers, ways to break the physical barriers in high school, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And this ultimately led to me continuing that passion, and I didn't go further with lacrosse or cheering. What I did do was I started working out at the gym hard. So I still was looking at all the influencers and the fitness women that were competing, and I idolized them, which, looking back, I was not nearly eating enough to what I should have been eating because I was not competing. But I didn't have an understanding of, what do I eat? What do I do with all of my physical output? What do I do with me lifting weights and running and doing cardio? I didn't understand that you have to replenish plenty of food. At that point in time, I started college, and if I looked back at pictures, I was very thin. I was muscular, but very thin, and I didn't have a direction. So it is kind of sad because I was calorie counting, and if I say the words, it's probably triggering, but MyFitnessPal, I don't know about you, but my friends and I in high school would be tracking. And, I was very active, so I would be eating like 1,200 calories, and I'm burning 5,000. No, I'm over-exaggerating, but burning like 3,000 plus, especially with a lacrosse game and then going to the gym. I wasn't eating nearly enough, and I remember being hungry all the time, but I didn't understand it. And I don't mean to say that I was misled by these influencers. They were just showing their lives. But I also wasn't being led in a direction. Like, I feel personally that we should be having these types of conversations in nutrition classes or gym classes, because they don't tell you that, especially in high school, I mean, even as a little kid, but you are to replenish everything you've lost if you're going to maintain your weight. If you're trying to lose weight, you don't eat as much, but I wasn't eating nearly as much as I should have. And I started to realize this because in college, I'm doing the same thing. I'm drinking protein powders because I'm like, okay, now I'm going to be a real fitness girl. I'm going to have the protein powder. And that's what I had for breakfast on the way to college. And then I started taking nutrition classes. And I learned about ways to allow my body to feel alive again while I'm working out, and ways to eat fats, carbs, and the importance that carbs have the most energy. And I think I'm going to do an episode of nutrition overall, like just kind of leave it at what I do. Yeah, so I was finding refuge in the gym, and I was, college, being stressed out. So I would literally multitask. I would write down flashcards, go on the elliptical for like an hour, flip them, try to memorize everything. And it's because my love for the gym and learning was still something I was doing with school. I couldn't put that to the side. So I combined the two. And that was what I was doing. I was constantly studying while doing cardio and finding ways to just put myself in the gym. And I really did love the gym. And I've always loved the gym. But this is where it kind of became an obsession, to the point where that was the only thing that I cared about. But I was realizing that I was doing it too much. And, have you ever heard of ego lifting? Because I was the ego lifter. At one point, it was nearing the end of COVID, but even still during COVID. So COVID time, it's after college. Fitness truly has always been such a big part of my life that when the gyms closed, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do. I started getting bands. I started learning how to do pull-ups, and I was running outside. Like, I literally went to a random parking lot and would just run outside in circles for like however long. I didn't have weights at one point, and then thankfully I was able to have some like at home like weights and just working out. So I kept up with it, although it just wasn't fulfilling. Because I love going to the gym, and it's just a different environment. It was a safe space, and that was sort of like, it felt like it was like ripped away from me. So nearing the end of COVID, when I finally was able to get back in, they opened up the gyms, I was ego lifting like a maniac. And I think it was just like this built up tension because I wasn't able to go use my working out as an outlet. It was closed. I was out of luck. So yeah, if I really hurt myself. I was ego lifting, and I'm going to say like I was hip thrusting like 430 pounds at one point. have videos of it, and I thought it was so cool. But like literally my one hip would drop, and I actually like pinched nerves, and my sciatic nerve was pretty messed up for a little while. And I'm laughing because it's like, come on, I should have known better than to do that. But I did go ahead and put myself through physical therapy because I was like just completely a mess. I had these cramps because it was my hip flexors that got really damaged. So having your hip flexors pinch up, your whole leg will have pain because your hip flexors are tight, and then it's just tight overall. I was getting cramps up by my hip flexors in the morning, and then by midday it would be like at my quad, and then my calf would hurt, and then my balls of my feet would hurt, and like my heels. I was just in so much pain, and they discovered actually that my hip was rotated the wrong way, my one right hip, the one that I had problems with. So I was ego lifting, and then I was already dealing with my hip being aligned improperly. And I didn't know, and we figured it out. I did all the exercises, and that's why stretching and doing the exercises before your workout is so important, to open up your hip flexors and, just loosen your legs and loosen up everything. But that's something I learned over time. And after ego lifting, I was set back to like square one. I had learned everything, but I started to really go into doing like stability exercises, working the core, but not doing like ab crunches, but working my core for balance and just strengthening the parts of my body that I didn't know how to do otherwise. I was just lifting weight and doing them wrong, by the way, which I think everyone does at one point in time. When you start in the gym, you do every exercise wrong, but then you learn the proper form. I was in the building stage. We're going to fast forward a little bit because it was me just rebuilding. I got so strong from rebuilding that I went through a breakup in 2022, and I found a private gym. And this gym is my favorite. I still go, but I love this gym. And all of the people there, when I had gone, they were all involved in bikini competitions. They were all involved in lifting, like physical competitions, things like that. And I found like my home. I found my home, and it was like, I've never been around so many like-minded people just here to, just do the output, put in the work, push those mental barriers, push past the physical barriers, and just keep building. And the passion was there, and I felt so intrigued, and I was like, this is what my teenage girl self wanted to be around. Like all these fitness influencers, I'm like, like stargazing, like just happy to be here and happy to be around motivating and inspiring people that are involved in the same thing as me. Don't really get that a lot at a commercial gym. And at the time, it was a lot of people my age that had gone there. I had gone in there and just was so excited because I was like, okay, I can learn. I'm like ready to learn. I had been using fitness as my identity for the stress and everything. And I found somewhere that I could relieve stress and also just be happy and make friends and just find peace from my mind at that point. And that went on. I still am a member there, but 2022, I'm like, I was going nutso. I did a sumo deadlift for 330 pounds, and it went up like butter. Now I cannot do that, I will admit. But what I was finding is I was using fitness as my refuge. The pain of the world, the pain of my heart breaking, the pain of just my anxiety and everything. I was using the gym as an outlet to the point of not really getting a lot of sleep, taking pre-workout, kind of just putting my only thought towards what am I going to lift heavy today? And it's kind of tough to talk about because I look back and I'm like, I just wish I could hug myself and know where I am now back then. But I was what I was doing and what I've established that I was doing was I was lifting and working out so heavy, even those times when I did the ego lifting when I had gotten hurt, but this time around where I wasn't focusing on sleeping, my health started, like I was getting really skinny. I was lost. I'll admit it, I was lost. And I knew the one thing that has always been there, the one thing that has never left me other than myself, has been my ability to be physically fit and be able to exercise. And what I did then was I was building up armor for myself with my physical body. What I was doing was bulking, and I was eating so much food. This is like after I had been really working out really heavy, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. Let me push it another notch. I'm going to bulk. I'm going to grow the biggest muscles. This is how I was able to lift so heavy, is because I was eating so much more. My legs were like double the size they are now. I was doing leg workouts 3 times a week. Crazy. I was just like 6 days, potentially 7 days a week I was at the gym. Like I said, that was kind of my home, but all the stress at that point in my life, I was building up this armor. My body was needing to protect itself, and that's the only thing I knew. I knew that all my emotions, all of that, I can put it into working out, and then my physical body will protect me. And I'm a totally different person than I was back then, but I just look at myself and I know that I was doing that because that's all I knew. And now I was able to figure out that that is not for me. I realized how toxic that was for myself because it was pushing myself towards adrenal fatigue. I was not sleeping, I wasn't resting, I was having a lot of just mental struggles. I was using marijuana as a coping mechanism on top of that because I was so exhausted and so defeated with anxiety. I just wasn't addressing the real problems that were going on in my heart and my life. I've been going to the gym still. I was working out. But now what I do, I actually have started doing a Lagree class using a reformer machine. So I'm sure everyone knows like a Pilates board. It's similar to a Pilates board, but it's a Lagree reformer. And what Lagree is it's slow tempo resistance. You can add resistance to it, but it is slow workouts. It's really a mental push. It is breaking mental barriers like no other, because when you're working out, you're doing it for reps. Pilates, you're doing lots of reps, low weight, so you're constantly moving. But you're not getting that tension, you're not getting that pull. I took a class this morning, actually, and I was shaking the entire time. And these are all simplistic exercises, not painful, not harmful. But these being so slow tempoed, you are working both your mind to slow down. You are also telling your physical body to resist the urge to go fast. And it's also heavy. It is literally like something I wish that I was able to do. I don't even know if it existed back then, back in high school, but this is like speaking to me on a soul level, because it's not this heavy weightlifting, but it's still this focus. It's this, I don't know, I leave there and I have a runner's high. Like it's a Lagree high. It's not even a runner's high because I'm not running. But the Lagree high, like this feeling just makes me feel like $1,000,000 after. And if I feel invigorated. So if you've never heard of it, I would encourage you to try some Lagree. It was great. I absolutely love it. I look forward to every single workout. I know it's going to be hard, but I do like workout classes. So I've been doing all different variations of exercise now, not only just weightlifting, because God put it in my heart. This is something so recent, and it's truly remarkable. But my identity is not fitness. My identity is not my physical output. And it's funny because, I was working towards a certain physique for so long by putting all the work into weightlifting and everything, like exercise, running, cardio, like how many hours, how hard can I do this for, and then weightlifting. And the way that I look now, where I'm more at rest than probably I have been in my entire life, but I'm still working out and finding time, I love the way that I look now. And physically, the way that I look, like my quads and everything, and it's like, it's backwards from everything that I had learned about watching all the fitness influencers, watching them do like 6, 7, 8 workouts. You know, sometimes they would do 2 a days. Sometimes your body just wants to rest. And when you go against that, especially as a woman, you are raising your cortisol levels. You are potentially getting over to adrenal fatigue, where your hormones are just screaming and they don't know how to keep yourself on track. So I think, because especially in the times where I was working out heavy, I was going through high cortisol resistance, and I was holding on to a lot of weight and a lot of fat, and my body wasn't looking the way I wanted it to because I was putting so much stress on my body. Now, I work out maybe 3 times a week. Other than that, I have been, in the summer, I'll play tennis outside with my boyfriend. I'll go on walks. My Lagree classes, I'll hit a workout at the gym every now and again. But because I'm not stressing my body out now, I'm losing weight naturally. I'm sitting at a physique that my body is loving and is comfortable at. And it feels so good. I feel like a renewed person, to be honest. And if you were hearing any part of this, it was that fitness was my identity. And now it's just an extension of me. It's not who I am. It's not what I'm showing to the world only. I am more than just finding an outlet for my stress. I am more than just what I produce, how I look. You know? And I don't know if you relate to this whatsoever, but if you are a person that uses fitness and you've come into this conclusion that it is your identity, the way that I have and the way that I did for so long, I want you to know you are more than just your capacity to put out. You are more than just the physical look that you are, yearning for. You are more than that. You do not need to put your body through such excess stress just to look a certain way. You do not need to be putting your body through so much stress just to feel like you're good enough. And being a woman, truly, and if there are men listening to this too, but for women especially, I can speak for us, there's so much pressure on the way that we look, what we create, how, it feels like we're under a microscope a lot of the time. So if you are feeling that you are just putting out so much energy and you're working so hard, try your best to not put yourself through even more of a ringer than your life already has been putting you through. My best encouragement is to use fitness in a way of making yourself feel good about yourself, not looking to make yourself feel guilty if you miss a workout. Believe me, I've been there. I wish someone said, hey, you don't have to work out today if you don't feel good. You don't have to work out if you want to go take a nap. You don't have to work out just because you told yourself you're going to go 6 times this week. If you skip out, 1 day will not make a difference. 2 days will not make a difference. 3 days that you miss will not make a difference. 4 days will not make a difference. If you find that the only way you feel good about yourself is if you present yourself and you're at the gym, present yourself at the gym and you post what you look like and your fitness identity on maybe your fitness Instagram like I was doing for a little while, you are more than just that workout. You are more than just fitness. And it truly is something it should be a part of your life for the health of your own life, but it should never take away from your health. The most important thing is sleep. If you are missing sleep to work out, I'm going to stop you right there and tell you the importance of the matter is that sleep is what you can do to strengthen your everyday. To be healthier, to lose weight, to have less stress, sleep, not physical exercise. But there's going to be moments where you may feel tired. Let's say you work an 8:30 to 5, 9 to 5 job like me. I do sit in my chair sometimes for those 8 hours, and I get off of work and I'm tired. And sometimes I don't want to work out. But there's going to be moments where if you recognize you've been sitting for so long, or maybe you work in an office and you're under these recessed lighting and you're sitting for 8 hours, know that physical exercise might revive you. Now, I'm not saying go lift 330 pounds, but even taking a brisk walk, going up on the treadmill on an incline, or just light lifting weights might actually feel 100 times better. But it's all about just being kind to your body. Instead of thinking that there's something wrong with you or that you have to be this to be seen and to be noticed, to be acknowledged, scratch that. You as a human being, you made by God, you are perfect as you are. If this is something that may have resonated to you, if you have found that your identity is that, or this goes for anything, but your identity doesn't have to be one thing. It should be who you are overall. And fitness can be an extension of you, but it doesn't have to be the only thing that matters. And I know this because I was friends with a lot of women that were bikini competitors. When you are drastically involved like that, it becomes your main focus, and a lot of them don't feel right mentally. So there's pieces of the puzzle you got to put together for yourself, but I do encourage you to understand that you can lift lighter weights even. You don't have to ego lift, and you can just make it be fun and exciting and find different methods of working out the way that I have. Lagree is so fun. I really do encourage, if you've been weightlifting for 10 plus years like I have been, Lagree is so up your alley. And, I feel like $1,000,000 after, and it actually I had this conclusion, and this is a little faith-based answer here. I realized that, and I had posted on TikTok about this, but physical fitness is really great for you because it is your human body's way of relieving stress. It's good for you to find an outlet in that way. What I'm getting at is, if you're going through something stressful, like this past weekend for me was really stressful. I had gone into a workout class, a Lagree class, and it relieved so much stress. Literally felt the physical stress on my body pull off and just float off into the air, in the atmosphere. And that is really what physical fitness is about, is it allows you to relieve the human body of stress. It's an outlet. And too much of a good thing is never a good thing, especially in my experience. But if you are of faith, you are religious or Christian, and you pray to God about your problems, and you know that anything anxiety or stress, you just give to God, you pray on it, that does relieve our soul and our spirit of the weight that stress holds. But we as physical human beings need that release of stress off of our physical body. So yes, it's great, and I do encourage every single time that you have stress or happiness, anything, pray about it. Especially in times where you're struggling, pray on it, give it to God, and have your spirit be free. But also, being a human being, using physical fitness or something like activity, being active, that relieves our physical body of the stress that our physical body will hold on to. And rather than adding more stress by lifting heavier, not getting sleep, continuing on, just use it in a way to relieve your stress, whatever that looks like for you. But fitness has been a part of my entire life. It's been a part of my identity. And I'm looking towards continuing to find ways to strengthen my myself, my mind. But today's little tip here is just know that you are perfectly imperfect. God made you perfect. There is no need to add further stress to your own physical body, to your mind, nothing. It's been a fun journey learning about physical fitness and, seeing where each piece has taken me. But I just do love that now I use it as like a space to be happy and free and, go outside and enjoy the sun, play tennis. You can redefine yourself as many times as you want. And that's part of the reason why I told my story about the fitness thing, about all my fitness areas, is because I have redefined myself over and over and over and over and over again. And you are always allowed to do that. When you know something, when you move forward on in life and you recognize that you didn't know something that you know now, redefine yourself. Do the things that you love and enjoy, and always be able to look to be interchangeable. Look to find ways to strengthen yourself, not only physically, mentally. And thank you for listening to another episode of Authentically Divine. I'm your host, Alyssa Davis, and I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you.